Hi everyone, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all doing great. If you're new here, I'm Latifa and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we'll be learning how to make a wrap lapel bodice. But before we get started, kindly motivate and support me by subscribing to this channel. And if you do so, let me know in the comment section by leaving me a comment saying just subscribe. What I have here right now is my horizontal measurement. I have a detailed tutorial on how to draft the basic bodice pattern. If you check out that video, you'll understand all this better, but I will just do a quick explanation of this. So I already created my shoulder width and also my shoulder slope right here. And this is going to be my armhole length. And from here to here is my bust point, which is 11 inches. And here is my half length. So my half length is 16 and a half. And I added additional half inch. And this half inch, I'll be using it to attach this bodice to a skirt pattern because I'm making a dress. So the next thing now is this part. So from here to here, this part will be my extension for the wrap. Okay, because you know the wrap will be going from the middle to a little bit over to the side. So this is going to be my extension for the wrap. And for this upper part here, this part is what I'll be using for the lapel effect at the upper part of the bodice. So here I have extra 7 inches. Okay, so from here this way is going to be my basic bodice pattern. You start your measurement from here this way. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to input my bust measurement right here. And the bust I'm working with here is 41 inches. You divide that by 4 and that will be 10/4. I'll be adding additional 2 inches allowance. So with 2 inches sewing allowance right here. Then I'll come to my waist. I'll input my waist measurement. The waist I'm working with here is 35 inches. So that's gonna be 8 3/4. You divide it by 4, so you have 8 3/4. Then additional 2 inches for sewing allowance and additional 1 inch for that allowance. So 1 inch right there. And I'll connect from here to this point like this. Okay. So for my dart, I'll be using 4.5. So the person I'm working with is a medium size. So I'll be using 4.5 right here. For the wrap effect, I want it to extend to the side by 5 inches. So this is the midpoint. I want it to extend by 5 inches. So right here, I'll mark 5 inches. But I'll need additional half of an inch to turn the lining with the fabric. And I'll add additional half inch. So that's going to be 6 inches like this. Then the next thing I'll do is here at my shoulder right here, I'll come down by half of an inch. That's to create my curve for the neckline. Then right here on the shoulder line right here, I'll go up by 3 inches. Okay, I'll go up by 3 inches. After coming up by 3 inches, here I'll make a curve like I'm doing like a neckline curve, right? From that half of an inch. Can you see the way I'm curving it? Like that. Then I'll use my ruler to connect from here to this 3 inches. Can you see that? You have it like this. Okay. And this is your shoulder slope, armhole, and this is your bodice. So now from this part right here, I'll connect it to this point. And I'll add half of an inch to the shoulder slope right here, and that will be to join my front shoulder to the back shoulder. Like that. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to create the wrap effect right here. The wrap effect will also give the neckline a V shape. So the first thing is to determine the length of your neckline. So I want a neck depth of 7 inches. And that will be right here. Okay, and like I said, right here at the down part, my extension is going to be 5 inches, right? So and that will be right here. I'll connect from this 7 inches to this part and to the neckline right here. So that would be like this. Okay, so now you can see this is our bodice and this is the extended part, and I'll be sewing with 1/2 inch, leaving 1/2 inch here. So the next thing now is to cut out this pattern. So after cutting out my pattern, this is what I'll have. Now I'll use this pattern to show you what the effect of this lapel will be when you sew it. So the first thing you want to do is create a line with this marking that we did earlier. So that's going to be like this. You see what I'm doing? So this line, I traced it to create this line like this. Then the next thing you do is to mark. So from here, mark 2 inches in like this. Can you see that? Then from the end of the lapel right here, I'll mark 6 inches inward. And this 6 inches already include my 1/2 inch to hem this part right here. 6. Can you see? So from here 2 inches inward, then from here 6 inches. Next thing that you'll be doing is to kind of create a pleat where you'll be folding this point right here on top of this point. Okay, so you have something like this. And you kind of pleat it down like this. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now as you can see, we already have our pleated lapel right here, and we have our wrap effect at the bottom extending right here. So you'll be cutting 2 of these, and for the other one too, you create this lapel and you place the other one right on top, making sure the midpoint match each other, and the other one will be extending a little bit to the side right here. So I'll be placing this pattern on my fabric to cut it out. And also, when you place your pattern on your fabric, make sure you notch your center. So this is going to be the center front, so that you can know where the center front is, and your dart. So this is going to be the dart. So I know my dart is closer to the side seam and my center front is closer to the middle right here. Okay, so for the back pattern, I'll be using my basic bodice pattern. This pattern is also included in my tutorial on how to draft the basic bodice. So this is the back, and I'll use it to cut out my fabric. For the front pattern, I have 4 pieces. So I'll be cutting 4 pieces, 1, 2, then 3, 4. And I'll be cutting 2 pieces for the lining. Okay, the reason why I'm cutting 4 of this is because by the time I turn this with my lining and I'm trying to create my lapel like this, my lining will be what will be showing outside, and since I don't want my lining showing outside, so I'll need to also add 1 more of my fabric like this, so that by the time I turn it, can you see, I'll have my fabric showing here. It will overlap each other like this. So right side of the fabric facing each other, then you put your lining at the down part. The right side will be facing the left side on the under like this. Take this to your sewing machine and sew from here 1/2 inch here, then straight to the bottom here, then on the other side right here 1/2 inch straight. Leave the armhole and this part. Okay, then you do the same thing for the second side. Then I'll notch the neckline part right here like this. So then after doing that, I'll bring out my fabric from here, you see. So I'll bring it out like this. For the back bodice, so what you'll be doing is the right side of your fabric, you place the left side of your lining on it. So this is the right side of my fabric and this is the left side. As you can see, this is the shiny part. So left side will face the right side like this. Then you sew half of an inch at the neckline, half of an inch straight down here, and half of an inch at the side. I'll be ironing my fabric now. So one thing that I want to tell you guys is you can iron any fabric. This fabric is delicate, so I can't place my iron directly on it. But what I'll do is I'll get myself a cotton fabric like this one and lay my fabric the way I want it to be. So I'll lay this like this. Then I'll place this where I want to iron. Can you see? And press it down. Can you see how flat that is? This part is still puffy. I'll do the same thing. And just press it. Also, I'll advise you to always iron first before trimming out any excess lining, because you might not need to trim it out at first. All you might need to do is just iron and everything will be in place. But after ironing and when everything is in place, if you have excess, then you can trim them out. The next thing now is to sew my dart. So you remember I notched the down part right here, so I already ironed it like this. So I'll be sewing with half of an inch up to 6 inches here, and same thing, half of an inch up to 6 inches, and stop for my dart for both. And also I'll be sewing the dart for the back bodice too. Now the next thing I'll be doing is to pleat my lapel. To make it easier, what I'll recommend you to do is get your pattern paper. You remember the way we folded it earlier like this? So just measure from this point to this point right here like this. Okay, we have 10.5. And if you remember earlier, I said I'll be using half of an inch to hem here, which I already did right here. So we are left with 10 inches. So what you will do now is, this is our front bodice. Then you flip this part that have the higher part right here. This part, you flip it here, okay, this way. And down here, we need half of an inch like this. I hope you can see. So half of an inch here like this. And you flip this way. And you measure from here to here. And make sure you have 10 inches like I just confirmed from the pattern paper. So I need to adjust it a little bit more. Okay, now I have 10 inches. So what I'll do next is to iron this, okay? So I'll iron this way. Then I'll do the same thing for the other side right here too. And if you remember on my pattern, I said I'll be extending by 5 inches to create the wrap effect. That will be the extension from the center to the side, 5 inches. So since this is our center right here where I notch, I'll measure 5 inches. You see, from this center to the side right here, okay? So this is the center. To the side right here, I'll measure the 5 inches extension like this. Can you see that? Then this other one will overlap right here at the 5 inches. So I will be placing this right here like this. Can you see? The next thing now will be to do the other pleats. So from here, I'll mark 2 inches right here, just do a little bit. Then from this end, I'll measure 6 inches, just do a little bit. Then pleat it. You use your iron to press this down, okay? And you'll do the same thing for the other side. After doing my pleat lapel right here, this is what I have. This is beautiful. I really like it. So what I'll do now is to mark my measurement. So the waist I'm working with is 35, and 35 divided by 2. You'll be dividing by 2 now because we have the front and the other half is going to be for the back. So 35 divided by 2 is going to be 17 and a half. And you remember I added 2 inches allowance, but I already used ½ inch to hem the side. So that means I have 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches here left. So that will be 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3 inches plus 17 and a half, and that's going to be 20 and a half. Okay, then I'll come to the bust area too. My bust was 41 inches. So if I divide that by 2, I'll have 20 and a half. Then 1.5 here, 1.5 here, that's 3. So that's going to be 23 and a half. I have 23 and a half right here. And if you remember my neck depth too, I said I wanted it to be 7 inches. So let's see. You know, I'll still be sewing this part with ½ inch, so that is good. So this is right. So by the time I sew ½ inch and ½ inch here, then I have 7 inches for the neck depth. What I'll do is, like I said, make sure you either tack this down, okay, tack it neatly down so that everything can stay in place, or use hemming gum to hem this down. And also, you see where these two fabric meet at the neckline here, where it formed V, tack it down. If you don't do that, it will keep like flipping out like this, okay? So tack it down. After doing that, the next will be to sew your back bodice to the front. So right side facing each other, place it on top like this, and you do the same thing for the other side. So you sew the shoulder together and you sew the side seam together, and this will be your zipper allowance. So I realized that I'm out of hemming gum. So what I'll be doing is right here, as you can see, this part is already staying put, okay? If I hold it up, it's not falling out, and that's because I pin this place, okay? You see, like this, then I pin it here. So this part that I pin, I'll be tacking it with my needle and thread, and I'll also tack it down here. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Here I'll tack it here, and I'll also tack it here. Then I'll tack right here at the neckline, the V part. I think I'll just use my sewing machine to just run a little bit of stitch instead of, you know, having to do the hand stitching. So like that. Then I'll sew the down part right here. Then I'll join my shoulder together. I'll place it together like this and flip this lining to the back, okay, like that. So after joining my shoulder, this is what I have, and you see the inner part is neat. So join it the way I show you and you'll get this. So the next thing now will be to join my side seam together. So I'll place my back facing the front like this, okay, like this. And I already marked my allowance right here, so I'll sew with the allowance straight down, and I'll do the same thing on this side, straight down. One thing that I realize now is that this part is a little bit too long. It's extending way out of the shoulder. So I want to reduce it. I want it to be somewhere like this. Okay. I prefer it like this. This looks way better. So what I'll be doing to reduce it now is, you remember that before I said you measure 2 inches from here to here, then you measure 6 inches from here to here, and you place the 6 inches on the 2 inches like this. So instead of measuring 6 inches, what you should do is measure 5 inches. Okay, so from here you measure 5 inches like this. Then you'll be pleating from this 5 inches like this to the 2 inch like this. And you realize that this is better now. Initially it was extending up to this point, but now it's a little bit closer to the armhole. Okay, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. I have adjusted my lapel and this is what I have now. It's better now. So guys, I'm done now and this is ready to go. What I have to do now is attach my skirt pattern to the down part right here and fix my zipper, and also fix my sleeve to the armhole right here. Also, I've tagged my neckline right here. Okay, I tagged it here, and you see that I tagged it neatly. It's not even showing at the front part right here. Okay, so you tag it from this part and just catch 2 of the layer from the back one here, but make sure it's not showing on the right side here, and you'll have a neat finishing like this. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If this video has been helpful, make sure you give me a thumbs up, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.